Hey, this is Moa Smokes, and today we're going to be talking about the Union argument. For those of you that don't know, the Union argument is the Shisha from Union Hookah that looks like the baseball bat, which is what you can see on the box right now, standing next to the Statue of Liberty. It's tall, but it's not quite that tall. Today, we're going to be talking about what it is, how it works, pros, cons, etc. Now, without further ado, I'm going to bring the camera in a little bit. I'm going to re-unbox this, and we're going to talk through the parts. All right, first of all, right off the bat, it feels like this thing is trying to fight me because on the side, it says your argument, and it almost seems like it's challenging me, but we're gonna ignore that and I'm gonna open the box. So here, let me just slide this out. You know that scene in like every crime movie or every mafia movie where, you know, the shady characters show up into this like parking garage and there's a guy that's like smoking a cigarette and he pops the trunk and he's like, let me show you the merchandise. That felt like the inspiration for this because honestly, you take this thing off and it's like, here's your weapon. And it's this baseball bat. It feels like there wouldn't be much of an argument, honestly, if you got into it with somebody and you had this with you. Anyway, I'm gonna open this. So to open it, I'm just gonna twist, open this up, and take the base off. All right, and I'm just gonna put this down for a second. So the first thing that you're gonna look at is the base. So this is where the water goes. There's an area right here where you can screw it onto the bottom of the base, which is a separate piece, which I'll show you in a second. And then inside here, if you can see, there are 3 lines all the way at the bottom that are like the suggested water levels, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then I'm gonna unscrew the down stem. So this is the down stem right here. And put that back down. And you'll see here there's a plastic spacer, and actually this unscrews. So you can unscrew this and remove the spacer if you don't want it. And we'll talk about what the spacer is for a little bit later. But here it is. And then let's look at the diffuser. So the diffuser is built into the downstem, much like the Viro one. And you'll see that the holes are staggered. They're pretty large and it's stainless steel. And the threading is all really nice, really thick on this. And then you have the actual stem, and this is what the bottom of the heart looks like. So you'll see there's 3 purge balls and then there's the actual stem. So here, let's put this baseball bat back together. And then just a close up here. This is the hose port right here. So this is where the hose adapter would go. And then if you twist it over to the other side, it says argument. Now we're gonna take the second layer off. And then the second layer is, I guess in the movie, this is where like the ammo would be, like the grenades. I don't know. Anyway, this is the tray. The tray is exactly the same tray as the one for the Union Sleek. The only difference is the logo here is colored. So it's like a navy-ish, blackish color. Pretty cool, but like I said, it's the same tray as the Sleek. And then this is the bottom base part that I was talking about. So the argument actually screws onto this. You'll also notice that it's beautiful and it's actually heavy because it's metal. So metal with engineered wood over it. Next up, we have the hose handle. So this is the hose handle, same engineered / machined wood. If you take it apart, so you can wash that separately without the sleeve. So here, let's put this back together. Then next up, you have the hose adapter. This goes into the hose port, and you'll notice how much metal is actually under it that goes into the hose. Just as a pro tip, these things are a pain to get into the hose. Wet it first, and it should go right into the hose. Make sure you do that, otherwise you'll have a miserable time, which is what I did the first time. Next up, we have the bowl adapter, and there's a grommet that comes with it. And then finally, we have this spike thing. And the spike thing was actually the most interesting piece to me, because I didn't know what this was. And then I realized that it's literally a spike. So it goes at the end of the baseball bat if, you know, you're about to get into a fight, I guess. And then yeah, so you have a baseball bat that has a spike at the end of it. The real purpose of the spike is so that you can actually put this into the ground. So say you're at the beach, you put this into the sand. Say you're camping and you want to put this in the ground, you just spear it right into the ground. You can also use it to move your tobacco around in your bowl. I wouldn't suggest poking holes with it because it is quite large. All right, we're back. I have my bowl packed, I have coals on, I'm ready to smoke, but while I do that, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the argument. So first of all, how much does it cost? The price for the argument is anywhere from, I think the cheapest I've seen is $320 to the most expensive I've seen is $360. I got mine from 5starhookah.com. I used my coupon code. It's going for $340 on 5starhookah.com. The coupon code brought it down to $289 plus shipping, obviously. The nice thing about it though is it comes complete, meaning that you get the stem, you get the base, which is part of it, you get the handle, you get the hose. So all you have to do is bring your bowl and your coals and your tobacco and you're ready to go. Next, we're gonna talk about the measurements. So this thing actually stands at 27 inches tall. It's really tall. As you can see, it's much higher than I'm used to having on my coffee table, and it barely fits in the frame of the camera. I want you to keep that in mind for those of you that don't like tall shishas, or it's not for you. I actually haven't minded it, which is surprising, and I think it's because of its like sleek, slim profile. In terms of weight, it's about 10 pounds. It's pretty heavy. So again, keep that in mind. In terms of what it's made out of, as I mentioned when I was doing the unboxing, it's stainless steel throughout. The stem is stainless steel, the base is stainless steel, all of the parts that are under the wood are stainless steel, and the wood is really just there for aesthetics. So it's covering the handle, it's covering the stem, it's covering the base. The purge balls are plastic and they're inside the heart, which is also stainless steel. The space limiter that's on the down stem is plastic as well. And again, that's a space limiter. The purpose of it is to help reduce water splashing up into the hose, which I thought was pretty cool because I know that's a problem with shishas that are shaped a certain way in terms of their down stem and in terms of their proximity to the hose port. So I thought that was a nice feature that they added. Now this overlay is machined wood or engineered wood, and I just want you to keep in mind that it's not removable. It's made in such a way that it's fixed, meaning that tobacco can't get between the wood and the stainless steel. In terms of the water level, because I know people are gonna ask this because it's tricky, you can't see it. They actually have 3 rings on the inside, which are like recommended water levels. And what I found is that 95 milliliters of water is perfect for it, meaning that you don't really hear a lot of the water, it's smooth, it doesn't feel airy, and it doesn't feel too restricted. But obviously feel free to play around with that, see what feels better for you. Now we're gonna talk about the pros. A few things stood out to me right away. The first is the draw is open, but it's not really open. Like when I reviewed the Sleek, I was like, oh, it's wide open, it feels great. This is a little bit more restricted than the Sleek. It's not to the point where I feel like it's a restricted draw by any means, or that it takes too much effort to pull, but it is something to point out if you're someone that's used to smoking something as open as the Sleek. The design is super unique. Obviously it looks like a baseball bat, and with the base and the tray, it looks less like a baseball bat, but without those things, it is exactly a baseball bat, which, I had all the fun in the world with, because I was like, oh, I have this baseball bat, and I was just like swinging around when I first got it, because sometimes I'm a child. The next thing I want to talk about is the purge. The purge is really cool. It's actually like a waterfall purge that comes from here down to the base. So here, I'll just show you. Like I said, pretty cool. Next big pro, I talked about this with the down stem. Stainless steel is connected to stainless steel, so you never have to worry about, plastic wearing or anything like that. It's just all stainless steel. The purge clears out the base really quickly. I mean, that was me, inhaling and then blowing out, but normally, here, I'll just take a few pulls. And now I'm gonna clear it out. And that's it, my base is clear. It's actually really quiet. Like the diffuser keeps it quiet. So if you notice what I'm smoking, like it's a little louder than say a Viral 1V2, but it's not as loud as, a Sleek or anything else that you're used to smoking. And obviously the biggest pro here is the way it looks. Like it looks nice. It looks like it's a showpiece. It looks like it's a flex piece. It looks like it's something that I wouldn't mind leaving on my table, even when I'm not smoking it, because it just looks cool and it kind of matches, modern decor and all that stuff. Let's talk about the cons, because there are cons. There's always going to be cons. The first con is, this is a personal preference thing for me, but I do want to point it out, the handle is short. Like, this is the handle, and if I hold the handle where I usually hold the handle, like this is all I have. The next con, which is a pretty big con, the purge balls are not accessible at all. Like there's no way for you to take apart the heart and access the purge balls. So when you clean this, you're gonna wanna make sure you clean it regularly. You're gonna wanna make sure that there's not any gunk building up in the purge balls. Like I said, make sure you're cleaning it thoroughly, because you wanna make sure that this lasts as long as possible. And I believe that the way that they've assembled it is, pretty thorough, and it's made with, modern engineering in mind. So I don't think it'll be a problem over time, but again, I've only had this for, 2-3 weeks now. So just keep that in mind, fair warning. The next con I want to talk about is, since you're only using 95 milliliters of water and it's a stainless steel base, the smoke is going to start to get warm around the hour-and-a-half to hour 45 mark. You're going to want to keep that in mind. If that's something that doesn't appeal to you, like obviously that's a red flag. I don't know how long you're going to smoke for. It doesn't really bother me that much because when it gets warm, it doesn't get like hot. It just gets a little warmer than I'm used to. The last thing is the O-rings that seal the hose adapter into the hose port are not the thickest. So some smoke escapes. So here, let me just turn this over and see if I can show you. You see how some smoke escapes there? It doesn't really affect anything, but a little air escapes. It doesn't impact the draw, it doesn't impact the pull, it doesn't impact the way it smokes or anything like that, but it is something to point out. Now, that being said, that's the review on the Union argument. I know a lot of you have been asking me a lot of questions about it, so hopefully I've addressed everything I possibly could. In my opinion, it's worth money just off of the way it looks and the way it smokes. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. Make sure you're following me on Instagram at Moa Smokes. Let me know if you have any questions. And other than that, I'm just gonna take a few pulls and I'll see you guys next time.